Talking about a cycling highway or fast cycle route is problematic because it triggers emotions, negative emotions. You don't want that in your neighborhood, and you don't want your children to ride on their bikes on a highway. You would rather want it to be something meaningful and not so much putting speed at the core, but putting the positive aspects at the core of the name. I think that is important.
We found out that the name cycle highways led to discussion because people thought on those cycle highways you had to cycle fast, so it was only for fast cyclists. And with the continuous cycle routes, we want to connect the routes, we want to improve them. So we make the pavement more smoothly, we widen them when necessary, we take out strong curves and remove obstacles. What we also do is make sure that people have at some places more priority over cars or more green traffic lights. In this way people can, on a smooth and comfortable and most of all safe way, travel from A to B.
When planning for these connecting cycle routes or smooth cycle routes or cycle through routes, it is important to think about not just which places seem logical to connect like on a map, but to really think about who is living there, who is using these spaces, and to make sure that it's not just one demographic that you're serving. So not just people who live in the outskirts and then have to go to work in the city center, but also making it a meaningful route for people who have shorter trips in their own neighborhood and can use parts of that route as well. Or people who would not go to the city center but to an industrial area, or connecting areas where people live with lower incomes, etc.
Well, people ask me some questions sometimes. Isn't it a bit ridiculous to make a route of 30 kilometers? But no one uses the route for 30 kilometers besides perhaps speed pedeleckers. But most people use parts of this route up to 7-8 kilometers and with e-bikes up to 15. So it's a chain of different destinations, and so no one uses the whole route, but many people use parts of the routes, different parts of the route.
We start by defining where people cycle. So we use existing routes and we improve them and we connect them. That's where we start. And of course the experience is very important in designing the route. So it must be attractive.
I can take myself as a good example why this works so well. As a young mother, I used to work for the municipality of Amersfoort, and I lived in the north of Amersfoort, and I cycled this route 4 days a week. At first I brought my kids to school and then I went to my work. And it's at this spot that I got my best ideas for work on my way to work or back from work. So it lightens up the right part of your brain, I think, if you have the right cycling flow in a green environment.
On the route itself, the fact that you can cycle side by side without too much hassle, that contributes a lot to the social interaction with your friend or with your children when you cycle together, or with your mom. And also because there is less less friction, it is also, you don't have to complain to each other about the one speeding a bit more than the other. So there is room for this interaction and negotiation.